so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have you all here with us finally. As you've heard, this has been years in the making and has taken so much effort and so much just love and commitment from so many of our partners. As I mentioned, my name is RACHAEL MAESTAS. I am in charge of communications and marketing for EmprendeLatino. This project could not have happened without, I'll say it, the ganas of our partners. So we want to especially thank the City of Albuquerque and Mayor Tim Keller, and especially Synthia Jaramillo, who you will hear from shortly. The Economic Development Department has been a really solid partner with us for a really long time, and they continue to show their dedication by being here today. Doug Turner and Agenda Global and Siobhan have gotten this building in amazing shape for us, going above and beyond, so we really appreciate them and are super grateful that they're here. As we heard, the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce, thank you all so much. BBVA and Contract Associates are two other partners that we haven't been able to thank enough. They have done a lot for us here as well. So I have the privilege of introducing our speakers today, but they really need no introduction because all of you know them and have worked with them before. Our first speaker is very well known to most of you here. Synthia Jaramillo is currently the Director of Economic Development for the City of Albuquerque, appointed by Mayor Tim Keller. She's not only the first woman to hold the job, but the first Latina. And she's truly leading the way and making us all proud. So please welcome Synthia Jaramillo.
Thank you, Rachel. Can you all hear me? So we need to project because we don't have a mic, but we're Latinos, so we speak loud. I would like to recognize some VIPs in the room. The governor's office is with us today. Thank you so much for having us. And we have the secretary, and you're our small business liaison. Forgive me.
That's right.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Dan Schlegel.
Dan, I almost called you Dave.
Just started as the governor's small business advisor, so I'm here to help navigate any bureaucratic issues you're having, and also to advise on any market policy issues for as a small business and investment.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for being here. And we have Secretary of Workforce Solutions with us. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate that. We have our state auditor, Brian Colon, here, who is with us, and he's always with us. He's everywhere. So we're so grateful. We're so grateful to have him. I want to recognize one individual who walked in, and I hope she's still here. Because 2 years ago, she provided the initial funding to support the program. Kelly Cooper, are you still here, Kelly? No. She was here earlier, but so if you see her, tell her I acknowledged her. So again, I am here on behalf of Tim Keller. I'm grateful to be here, excited that we are celebrating the launch of EmprendeLatino and the 20th cohort of Cultivating Coders. Now, the City of Albuquerque is proud to be a partner of both these organizations while we are providing pathways to success for historically underserved populations. Now, it's no secret that Albuquerque is a model city when it comes to leading the path for minority-owned businesses. Our history and diversity make it the perfect place for EmprendeLatino to launch. Now, EmprendeLatino is the first of its kind venture capital-backed tech accelerator focusing exclusively on Latinx startups. From coaching to capital, EmprendeLatino will support Latinx startups from stage one onto a path of rapid growth. And we are proud that the City of Albuquerque is the first of 5 other cities across the nation to launch this program. This is a Silicon-like Valley tech accelerator right here in our backyard. Now, what we're doing as a department and as the city, as the Economic Development Director, it is my mission under the leadership of Mayor Tim Keller to build an economy that works for everyone. We're working to support local businesses, strengthening the existing and future workforce, and strategically recruiting companies that build on our strengths and provide quality jobs. One area of specific focus is elevating Albuquerque as a tech hub. Now, we all know this, I don't have to tell you this, but we are a city of innovation, from national security and solar technology to cybersecurity and software development. Albuquerque has no shortage of startups. Some may even remember a small company called Microsoft. It was started right here in Albuquerque. Now, we are investing and utilizing all of our tools and resources to create a climate for all tech startups to emerge here, relocate here, expand here, and thrive here. We are seeing bigger national companies like Jabil and local startups like Lavu, RS21 to name a few, Indica Labs, all deciding to stay and expand in Albuquerque. Now, the city of Albuquerque is also thrilled that these 3 organizations have chosen downtown Albuquerque as their location. Now, I'd like to recognize one individual who often goes unnoticed. It's no secret that Mayor Tim Keller has made downtown a priority for his administration. Now, Doug Turner with Agenda, who is right there in the back corner, it is because of him that this space has been inspired and is here in downtown. It is because of Doug Turner and his company that EmprendeLatino is in such a beautiful space. And he won't tell you this, but I can. He probably invested, he shared like $200,000 approximately, but I think it was well more than that. Doug and I started having this conversation many years ago, and so hats off to you, Doug. Thank you for believing in this community. Thank you for investing in downtown, and thank you for utilizing your resources to support the Latino community. Thank you, Doug. Now, to those of you in this first cohort who are not from Albuquerque, welcome to the city that we all love. I hope you also fall in love with this city in the next 12 weeks and decide to bring your companies here. Again, thank you for having me here today, and I look forward to all the good things to come from both EmprendeLatino and Cultivating Coders. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. So our next speaker will also be a familiar face to most of you, especially since he and his team are also calling this space home to their 20th Coding Bootcamp. Please welcome Charles Ashley, the founder and CEO of Cultivating Coders.
I brought my little reverend cloth because it's hot. You know, you gotta, you know, woo. But thank you, thank you for the introduction. I'm excited because I remember when Stephen moved here, and we sat down, and if you guys don't know Stephen, he's just fast talking, like blah, 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 just talking all over the place. And he said, I want to do this thing for Latino business starters and help them grow their companies. And you know, he painted almost a picture, but he was talking so quickly that it kind of went in one ear and went out the other, right? Then we sat down again a month, I want to say like a month later, because we kept meeting. And you could start to see this idea form, right? You can see that he's been thinking about this a long time. And it's kind of ironic how this is going to happen, how this space is going to happen. He essentially is a startup, right? He had to raise funding. He had to convince a community that to trust in him with their funds, their resources. He had to build relationships. He had to build a team. That's how you start a company. So who better than to start an accelerator than someone who's demonstrated that not only can he raise the money, but he can do it in this setting. Look at all these beautiful people and faces in this room supporting this project. So then once the space was coming together, I looked at our calendar and I was thinking for our cohort, our young people over there, wouldn't it be awesome if you could work in the same space as people who are entrepreneurs, who are risk takers, who are hustlers, who have something that they believe so passionately in that they decided to leave home and come to Albuquerque. Like, they left home to come to Albuquerque. Think about that. That's how much they believe in their companies. Like, that's the truest essence of an entrepreneur. And I wanted our young people, Deontay, Zach, Javier, sometimes it's Oscar, depending on what day it goes by, Joseph, Justin, the list going. I think Aquila's around here somewhere. I wanted them to see firsthand what it takes to be a business owner, to start a business, to see the sweat equity. Because you see the glamour, you hear about the glitz. This is hard. You see us back there moving chairs. I'm still the janitor of my company. I'm still picking up trash, scolding people. Like I feel like I have 20 kids every 12 weeks. I got 20 new kids. But with this space, it's going to allow these young people to see what we've been preaching to them the entire time. What I preach, Brandon Trebotowski, our CTO, I tell his story all the time. That he's a local kid, went to UNM, nerded out in his basement or patio, wherever he was at, went on to start a software company, lives very well. Do you live well? Okay, thank you. I want them to see that firsthand. I'll be all in his pockets, I know. I want them to see that firsthand, but it's different when they see Brandon because you see an adult or whatever, he's part of the company. But when you see these business owners firsthand, you're gonna see that it's real for you to start your own thing or go work with a company that's global or to see that the hard work that it goes into running something. So Stephen, bringing it full circle, I see it. Like I saw it from the very beginning. It's why I always vouch, I always ride with you. Like he's a friend and I'm proud to be just a part of this. So thank you for allowing us to be here. And with that, I hope everyone has a beautiful Friday, great weekend, and get your church cloth, right?
Thank you, Charles, and Cultivating Coders. I know I speak for all of us when we say we're so grateful to have you all here with us. Our next speaker, the man, the myth, the legend, is co-founder and general partner of Perpetua Partners, the premier venture capital firm investing exclusively in Latinx-led tech startups, which is also the creator of EmprendeLatino. So I also have a similar story of how I got wrapped up in this with Stephen. I was at Marble Brewery, and if we know Stephen, we know he's there half the time. So I ran into him. I happened to be free for some work on a project, and he, same thing, rapid fire. Well, here's what we're doing, this really great idea. And I was like, okay, tell me more, what is it? And he's like, oh, you don't know. He's like, he wanted me to know exactly what it was. Like, it is his entire world. He is so dedicated to this. The second I had this conversation, I was, committed. I was in. So without further ado, here's Stephen Lucero.
One inside. Well, thank you, Rachel. And I want to personally thank, before I get into my remarks, Agenda Global and Doug. Thank you, wherever you are. I can't see you. There you are. More than this space. Could not have happened without you. Thank you. The city of Albuquerque, thank the mayor, but thank you for all the commitment. Our anchor partner, the Albuquerque Responder Chamber of Commerce, been there day one, through all the tribulations, all the ups and downs, so thank you. And please thank the board. BVA, Contract Associates, Maria had to leave, and UNM Innovation Academy, our partners. Bienvenidos a todos, welcome. And I'm honored to be here for many reasons, but the biggest is I get to have two of Perpetua's 5 partners here. Beverly Duran, Tamara Lucero. Rajram, I'm sorry. Get out of the bag. Both have made history as being the only Latina partners in a venture capital fund in the US, the only. They both have been successful entrepreneurs, raised VC funding, scaled their companies, and successfully exited their companies. So role models for everyone listening. And so very proud to have them here. And if you didn't know, most of you who know me know this is mom, this is sister. So we represent the best. So I'm chairman of the board now. We represent the best. We think the best of what Albuquerque, New Mexico have to offer globally, and we preach that a lot. So as today represents an historic first on multiple levels, formal launch of the first tech accelerator specifically for Latinx founders with VC money invested in them. I think it's important to kind of tell the history of the inception. How did this happen? because it wasn't random. 4 years ago, I think it was, Tamara and I had a conversation about what was going on in technology in Silicon Valley and Latinos, because I had just moved back to the US. So we had a conversation, and we discovered how abhorrent, how painfully abhorrent the data is. As we sit here right now, less than 0.3% of all VC money nationally goes to an Hispanic-founded tech startup. Where by contrast, the Latinx community are the fastest growing consumer demographic, and as thanks to Stanford University, known as the most entrepreneurial demographic in the country. So from that conversation and surprise, was born Perpetua Partners, specifically to address that problem. And so soon after the general partnership was formed and we began working on the VC fund, we quickly understood and discovered that access to capital and access to networks wasn't going to be enough. That in order to create sustainability, we needed an ecosystem. In order to cause wealth creation events in our community, we needed knowledge-based programming. We need to teach what they know in Silicon Valley that we don't know here. How, where, when. Hence, the plan for a national accelerator platform was born, EmprendeLatino. Fast forward to fall 2015, when during a visit to Albuquerque at a political campaign fundraiser, I met Doug Turner. And for everyone who knows Doug, knows that he was very keen to know everything I was up to. And I described the concept behind EmprendeLatino. And a meeting was made for the following week, where he introduced me to Synthia Jaramillo, the then interim CEO of the Albuquerque Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I learned that they had been talking for a few years about doing a tech startup for Hispanics. So at that moment, and what we have now, a partnership and very close personal relationship for me was born with both of them. And so again, without the two, we wouldn't be here. So the journey today has been fraught with challenges, but also opportunities. Today marks the end of the beginning and the start of a new future for Perpetua, for Latinx tech startups, and for the city of Albuquerque in reality. Today marks the historic inaugural opening of EmprendeLatino for Latinx startups, who upon graduation will receive $100,000 per company from Perpetua Partners. Me and my partners couldn't be prouder and happier and more excited for today and for our companies in these 8 companies, stellar companies in this cohort. Mil gracias a todos. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And it is now my pleasure to finally introduce our last speaker, but not the least speaker, because she will be introducing our inaugural cohort for EmprendeLatino. LUCRECE BORREGO is continuing our tradition of having some badass chingonas on staff. She's no exception. Fun fact, we are also cousins, so it must run in the family. You didn't know that. I didn't even know that, but that's what happens when you're from Española. You're related to everybody. So, without further ado, here's LUCRECE BORREGO.
I have always wanted to be introduced as Badass Chingona for one of these events, so thank you so much. It's awesome. So everybody seems to be starting with their Stephen story, so I'm going to start with my Stephen story. So I had a slightly different experience. We didn't actually even meet over beers for quite some time after we'd met. When Stephen came to me, I was working at another venture capital firm in Santa Fe, and he reached out and met with me with 2 other partners of Perpetua, and I think he was planning on having to actually recruit me, but once they explained what they were doing here and what Perpetua was going to be and the concept of EmprendeLatino, it was sold right away, absolutely. Being able to be part of this, especially in my home state, is just absolutely everything I would have always wanted. So yeah, I jumped on board and we hit the ground running, and it's been a couple of years building this all out, building this community, the people that are supporting this, making this happen. See a lot of familiar faces in here, and really happy to have you all, and all the faces that aren't familiar, I'm really excited to get to know all of you as well. It's been pretty much almost to the date a decade since I had an event like this, and I was celebrating the grand opening of my first startup and my first cohort of incubatees, and it was 2008, so everybody thought I was crazy because people didn't take risks and nobody put money in anything. But I found a group of entrepreneurs that was not being represented, and I thought that if they just had the resources, somebody would just take a chance on de-risking them that little bit with the facility and the knowledge and the capital, that they could go off and they would do amazing things, and they would prove to everybody that it could be done. And they did. So I know that this cohort that I'm about to introduce, once they go forth and they succeed, and they will, and they prove that this can be done, that's all we need. We just need to prove it. And once we do, that momentum is going to be completely unstoppable in every way. It's going to be unstoppable for Albuquerque, for Latinx startups, for all Latinos in general. This is a wave of change that's kicking off right here, right now, and we have those people that are going to lead that in the room. So it's with a great honor that I will introduce you to our inaugural cohort. If you would all please stand up, and then I will call you out. You may take a bow if you'd like. Yeah, get on up here. Get on up here so I can call out each of you. Absolutely. We do have one team that could not be with us today due to the hurricane warnings on the East Coast of Miami. They will be joining us next week. They'll be joining us via Zoom, virtually on a computer over there too, if you want to meet them. That company is Cuema. Their security wearables device that was actually launched because they had a friend that was kidnapped in Mexico. Very interesting story. Lovely Bolivian woman, Kenyan co-founder. They met in Chile, so yeah, they've been all over the place. So we'll just go line by line in no particular order, I promise. I love all of them. So we have from Spain, Mi Food Robot, which is revolutionizing the way that restaurants prepare food by using machine learning robots. Totally a game changer. We're very excited to have them. Sean and Carlos, welcome, and congratulations. Coming all the way from Chile, winning the award for longest travel time. Yeah. I believe it was 32 hours. We have Javier with Health Chain, who is solving a problem that we all would really like solved, which is the seamless data exchange in healthcare, making that secure and accessible and improving the way that medicine is practiced all around the world. So. Next we have from right here in our hometown in Albuquerque, Zeke Chavez, who is creating Champria, which is a platform that connects esports players with one another. We've kind of been calling it the Tinder of esports, but play around with that one a little bit. But Zeke is actually currently still nailing down his co-founder. So if you're really interested in esports and you're a badass developer, hit this guy up. Absolutely. A lot of potential there. Welcome, Zeke.
Thank you so much.
And you do have a list of all of these companies in your program. And with that, the next introduction, there was a little bit of a typo, so I do apologize for that. It's not coming from New York, it's coming from Phoenix, Arizona. Slight difference, but yeah. The Jaime Martinez with Scola from Phoenix, Arizona is creating a platform that matches families with the right welcome Jaime. Kicking it back to Albuquerque now, a couple of faces you may know, because this lady, Julia Jones, this is not her first rodeo. This is Soto Products. They are revolutionizing the home improvement industry by starting off as the Warby Parker of paint, where they're taking the entire experience online, mobile, door-to-door, streamlined, and they're gonna be totally change it. No more Home Depots, which is a problem because that actually paid for my college education. So welcome Jessica, Garrett, Daniel, and Julia, and the little one, Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte. So sorry. Also, coming from Arizona, but from Tucson, we have Germán BORREGO with Univido, who is doing a project that is near and dear to the state of New Mexico because it is such a huge problem that needs to be solved here. Everywhere else, but very much so here. He is making a telehealth platform for Spanish speakers and immigrants. He has an amazing backstory, so go ask him. He'll tell it better than I ever could, but trust me, it's a pretty amazing story. So welcome, Germán. Last, very much so not least, we have Cleverly, which is a beauty device startup that changes the way people put on fake eyelashes. You are welcome to try it out. They have some samples here. If you've always wanted to try fake eyelashes, this is your time. It's a streamlined way to do it. They're actually 3D printing their product themselves with the 3D printer they bought and taught themselves how to use, which is really freaking cool. Kimberly and David from right here in Albuquerque. Over the course of the last few months, I've had the honor of getting to know these people and working with our evaluation committee of brilliant people to determine that this was the fit for our cohort. They are not here just because they have brilliant ideas. There's no shortage of brilliant ideas. We had 60 qualified applicants from 11 different countries that all had awesome ideas. These guys are here because they can execute on those ideas, because they're ready and willing to work their ass off to make this happen, and they will go on and lead scalable companies that will prove that Latinx startups can be unicorns. So there is beer and wine at the back. We can raise our glasses to those guys in a bit. Thank you to Bar Wines and Red Door Brewing for that, and Topo Topolino for going to provide some munchies. These guys will be at these tables that you see along the side. So one set here, one set there. Make your way through. They'll be hanging out, talking to you about their startups and their stories. I really encourage you to ask them about their own stories and not just the startup, because the energy is so contagious that you may find yourself going home tonight and thinking about your startup or your next startup. Let us know. We're happy to have you. But just keep in mind, it's a little catchy because they're all amazing, and I couldn't be happier with the inaugural cohort of EmprendeLatino. We're so proud of you.
Great afternoon, and let me tell you, Stephen, I tell you, it's so exciting. The Albuquerque Hispano Chamber, the staff, everybody in the staff, the board of directors, so exciting to participate with you. It seems like, just yesterday when you came up with this idea. But I know it's been a couple of years, maybe less than that. But it's a great thing that you're doing here. It's a great event for economic development for the cohorts. Please know that the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber is with you. We're love to be your anchor partner. We're proud of being your anchor partner, and we will do whatever it takes to help these cohorts succeed. So on behalf of the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber, its staff and board, congratulations. Let's cut the ribbon and say,
And do this hard style way. We're going to be loud and we're going to be obnoxious, and we're going to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2,
right now.